Giant otters, feisty warriors, patrol the bays and lagoons in one of the greatest wetlands on Earth. They're noisy and gregarious and hard to find, except here in the Pantanal. These pugnacious predators share a watery kingdom with a spectacular parade of wildlife, from the water-walking jacanas to the sharp-toothed piranha to amorous tapirs, the underwater lovemakers of the giant otter refuge. The wet season is coming to a close. It's May, and much of the Pantanal, one of the world's largest tropical wetlands, is still submerged under 5 feet of water. Surrounded by a series of mountain ranges, this massive water-filled basin covers more than 54,000 square miles. It's 10 times the size of the Florida Everglades, and 80% of it is in Brazil. It's a 5-star luxury habitat for an extraordinary concentration and diverse populations of flora and fauna. Here at the southern edge of the Pantanal, swollen freshwater rivers flow down from the surrounding hills. For all the aquatic plants of this immense region, this is a season of unparalleled richness and abundance as nutrients flood into the region. For the endangered giant otter, there's no sweeter home than the freshwater rivers and streams of the Pantanal. Here, these large predators reap all the benefits of a semi-aquatic lifestyle. They can reach 6 feet in length and weigh up to 70 pounds. With their webbed feet, water-repellent fur coats, and wing-like tails, giant otters glide effortlessly through the water, on the surface and below, upstream or down, nearly impervious to the current. Carolina Ribas knows this place almost as well as the otters. She's a biologist, and she's been exploring these waterways and studying the behavior of the giant otters for over a decade. Social carnivores are rare in South America, and their complex behavior captured her imagination.
When I saw the giant otters for the first time, it was incredible because you can see their behaviors, you can see them fishing, they're playing, then raising the cubs, and I was falling in love because of this opportunity to be with so big animals, diurnal animals that you can stay a lot of time with them. It was an amazing experience. And for me, it was the beginning of my love for giant otters.
Giant otters spend about 70% of their day in the water, hunting, socializing, and patrolling their territory. Even in these warm tropical waters, these high-energy mammals need a thick coat. They have one of the densest fur coats of any otter, which is strange for a species living in the warmest habitat. Their fur is made up of 2 layers of short, fine hairs, an outer and an inner one. Their coat is a compromise between avoiding overheating on land and cooling in the water. In the water, they lose most of their heat through their large tails, which have almost no fur. Their luxurious fur coats almost led to their demise. From the 1940s to the 1970s, their fur was in such high demand, the giant otters were hunted to near extinction. New laws making the trade illegal came into effect in 1973, and now the population is beginning to recover, especially here in the Pantanal. Carolina researches the social dynamics and the genetics of giant otter groups, which means finding their dens, the hidden homes they build into the riverbanks. They won't be easy to find at this time of year. But local guide Aurelie Terena has heard rumors of a giant otter den further upstream. It sounds like they've come to the right place.
The delta of the Salobra, it's a very nice place to giant otters because normally you have these kind of river banks with the river and a lot of fish. This is a good spot for them because they can see the river, they can see the approach of predators, and also they can have a very nice place to fish around. At least if I was a giant otter, I will choose here to live.
This is the Salobra River. This river is a magnet for giant otters because it's located at the southern edge of the Pantanal, where the waters are so clear, it's easy to find fish. The sparkling clear waters originate in the Bodocana Hills. A low mountain range at the southern edge of the Pantanal. Salobra, which translates as salty or briny in English, gets its name from sodium carbonate deposits in the limestone of the Bodocana Hills. The water flows over majestic waterfalls and down the hills into the streams that merge to form the Salobra River.
It's a very, very special river because it has a lot of fish here, and the water is very clear. And giant otters, they chasing the fish. They are very visual animals. And giant otters, they have a very high metabolism. They are very dynamic animals, and they need to eat a lot of food per day.
Hunting for fish occupies much of the giant otter's day. Driven by their insatiable appetite, they swim for miles, deep into the flooded forests and through the shallows of the great swamps, looking for fresh fish. Every adult needs to eat around 9 pounds of fish every day. That's the kind of quota that makes for a busy otter. And that's why so many giant otters love the Salobra River. When it comes to catching fish, the crystal clear waters of the Salobra give them a distinct advantage. They've got sharp eyes for spotting their favorite prey underwater. And in water with this kind of visibility, it's easy to find what you're looking for. Like the Kurumbata, a large mud and algae-eating fish that grows on average to about 20 inches long. Or the piao, a thin-bodied fish that prefers to swim in schools. Fast, but not too fast for the giant otter. The trera is a ferocious, prehistoric-looking carnivorous fish with a dangerous set of sharp teeth. It's a part-time air breather, an important asset that lets it hunt in shallow water at the edge of streams and rivers, where it can catch an unwary bird, mouse, or even a lizard. The sharp-toothed piranha is always ready for a great quick snack. Giant otters don't have to worry about getting bitten by the piranhas that live in these waters. The only dangerous species is the red-bellied piranha, and it lives far away in the Amazon River. This section of river is now full of otters. And based on the calls she's heard from the boat, Carolina thinks there may be an active den close by. This is a place that comes with very special memories.
The Salobra River, it's very important to me because it was the first time I saw giant otters in my life. And in that time I was just a young person coming to live in the Pantanal, and I was working with birds. And when I saw the giant otters for the first time, it was incredible because they are so dynamic. Ali, Arilene, não é uma toca antiga dela?
É uma louca antiga dela.
Não tá usando mais, né?
Não. Pararam de usar aqui, ó.
E aqui é o que? É a latrina?
São todos ossinhos de peixe.
Então, grande,
Só a
né?
latrina dela. até lá.
Latrine is a very common thing that giant otters make in their territory. They use these areas to defecate and urinate together.
The communal latrine is the first line of defense against intruders. The otters make a big stink by rubbing their feces and urine into the earth with their paws. This advertises that this is private property and all trespassers should keep out. These latrines are so important that giant otters usually build them just a few steps from the front door of their den. For most trespassers, that's plenty of warning.
And it's a kind of communication with the other groups, saying that here is our territory, you know, like you are not welcome to be here because this is our place, it's where we live.
Each giant otter family maintains several latrines in their territory. The latrines provide a lot of information about otter habits, even when they've been abandoned.
The group is not using anymore because you can find old bones. These are piranha bones defecated by giant otters in this old latrine. Consegue reconhecer que tipo de peixe que é isso aí?
Aqui tem mais piranha, né? Algumas escamas aqui que você vê que é grande, às vezes são de curimba, né? Ou traíra, né?
Uhum.
Mas é mais piranha mesmo.
The other interesting thing about latrines, it's a source of food for some kind of animals that live around. A very common bird that we always see eating the feces of the giant otters is the wood rail.
Besides dining on otter feces, the great-necked wood rail also finds insects and other invertebrates in the mud. Carolina and her team have identified 29 species of vertebrates who come to visit, 9 of which actually ate the feces.
And they are always around, sometimes together with the giant otters in the latrine.
All members of the family participate in marking their territory. This one's just spotted an intruder, a caiman. Even though it's unlikely to take on an adult giant otter, they're not taking any chances. Rather than running away, the smaller but pugnacious otters head into the water to attack. They bite the caiman's tail. But this caiman doesn't seem to get that it's overstayed its welcome. Then the cavalry arrives. Now there are 4 otters to chase him away. Finally, he gets it. The powerful stench of these latrines has a downside. It also alerts predators to the location of a tempting meal.
You see a lot of jaguars visiting the latrine because the smell is so strong. The jaguar comes to check if the giant otter has a cub. It's not good for the giant otters because the jaguars can kill small cubs of the groups.
But giant otters are crafty. To protect their cubs, they build large underground dens with many chambers and several entrances. If a predator enters one entrance, they'll just escape using another. They always have an exit strategy, which can also come in handy if there's a sudden flood.
Here you can see an entrance of an old den. Looks small outside, but inside the den it's very big because if you can imagine that sometimes you have groups with 10 individuals living in the same den, and you have a big saloons that they can sleep there and raising the cubs inside. It's very common to see that the den it's associated with the roots of the trees. The giant otters make them to have a more solid structure.
When they're submerged, the tree roots act as a barrier at the den's entrance. But even with all these precautions, young cubs are easy targets for predators or rivals.
Tinha grupo grande aqui?
Era grupinho de três ariranhas.
E elas tiveram filhote?
Tiveram aqui dentro dessa loja aqui, tiveram 3 filhotes.
É mesmo?
Tinha até onça rodeando aqui em volta.
Na mesma época dos filhotes?
Na mesma época.
E eles sobreviveram, você viu? Ou será que a onça pegou?
Sobreviveram um bom tempo, daí depois acho que briga com os outros grupos lá embaixo, matou os filhotes. Sobreviveu só um dessa turma.
2 perderam.
2 morreram.
An abandoned den can reveal much about the secret lives of the giant otter. But what Carolina would really like to find is a big occupied den site. So they turn around and head for the Miranda River. It's the dark river that merges with the clear water of the Salobra. The larger Miranda River gets its murky color from the rich mixture of nutrients and silt that flows out of the adjacent wetlands. All that food is a magnet for a diverse population of frogs and insects. Living in ponds near the river is a common frog called the paradoxical frog. It has a rather unusual life cycle. It begins in breeding season with a singing competition. The males gather in the shallow water in the hope that they will attract a female. It's a tricky time because all the activity attracts predators. The males are territorial. They sing to attract mates and also to claim their patch of the pond. They physically defend their territory by pushing any rivals away with their noses. When they find a female, they'll grab hold of her in an embrace called amplexus and will fertilize her eggs as she lays them. Huge clumps of frog spawn float at the water's edge. The eggs start out a normal size, but if low temperatures or lack of food delays metamorphosis, they may grow continuously for the next 4 months, resulting in giant tadpoles 10 inches long. But adult paradoxical frogs are only 2.5 inches long, which is why they're also known as shrinking frogs. As the tadpole matures into a frog, it shrinks. The Pantanal wetlands are home to the highest diversity of floating vegetation in the world. The tropical sun and warm waters encourage exotic flowers to bloom and multiply. Thick beds of water hyacinth and water lettuce spread across the broad and gently flowing Miranda River. And that's where the wattled jacanas like to spend their days. The locals call them the Jesus bird because of their talent for walking on water. They're the bird world's Bigfoot. Their long, thin feet spread up to 8 inches across. This allows them to distribute their weight over a large area, so they don't sink. Jacanas are unusual in that the females are larger than the males, and they're the dominant ones. The strongest females can have a harem of up to 5 males, and will fiercely fight off other females looking to steal their partners. The males, on the other hand, have no time for other females. They're too busy caring for eggs and chicks, which may not even be their own. Young jacanas fledge at around 8 weeks under the attentive care of the male, but they can stay near him for up to a year. For now, these juveniles look very different from their parents, but they'll soon molt into their adult plumage. Just in time, one of the males spots a dangerous predator. How to deal with a caiman is a good life lesson for the juveniles. His noisy squeaks and cackles eventually deter the caiman. Carolina and Arilli are still looking for an occupied giant otter den. They've had no luck on the Miranda River, so they're back checking the banks of the Salobra. The flood season in the Pantanal is spawning time for many species of fish. When the riverbanks overflow, fish leave the rivers and swim where there was once dry land. But when the water levels recede at the end of the wet season, the fish are forced to migrate back into the rivers. This makes them much easier for the otters to catch.
Agora essa água aqui é muito boa para elas, porque é muito transparente. Perfeito para achar o peixe.
Carolina and Aralee scan the bays and channels for signs of an active giant otter den site. Their patience is finally rewarded.
Tá ouvindo? Eu acho que é filhote aí, hein? Será que o grupo tá aí por perto?
Aí a gente tem que procurar ver se a gente consegue ir mais perto.
Vamos dar uma chegadinha ali? Oi?
Tentar ali, passar lá do lado.
Vamos dar uma chegadinha ali bem em silêncio? Acho que tá por ali, ó. Né? Estão ali, Ari. Estão ali. Vamos lá.
They need to find a place where they can observe the den without being seen.
We are just looking for the giant otters, and we heard the cubs. We are thinking they are on the other side of the river, and we are stopping here to check and try to see them and try to film them. We go very slow and very silent. Let's go, eh?
They spot a large female entering her den. The mother re-emerges with a cub. Her gentle growls reassure the squeaking infant. Cubs open their eyes at 4 weeks, begin walking at around 5 weeks, and are able to swim confidently when they're about 3 months old.
We are seeing the giant otter. The mother came and she started to move the cubs.
Their cries tell Carolina that they are young. Before long, the mother returns to collect another one. Females only have 4 teats, so a litter usually consists of 4 cubs. They are born blind, and these cubs will have only just opened their eyes.
They are very little, less than 1 month, and we don't know why she's doing that. Maybe it's because she's not feeling safe around here anymore.
She moves the cubs one at a time, holding them securely by the scruff of their necks. They don't seem to be very happy with their impromptu swim. Giant otters are cautious mothers. Perhaps she caught the scent of a jaguar. Whatever it is, she's not taking any chances. With luck, they won't have to take another dip until their first swimming lesson. Carolina and Arilli decide to retreat. Now that they know where to find this family, they can come back another time. Just as they're about to leave, there's an unexpected visitor. An unusual-looking mammal with a long and flexible snout. The lowland tapir is a shy, solitary herbivore whose closest relatives are the other odd-toed ungulates, including horses, zebras, and the rhinoceros. Unlike their relatives, tapirs spend a lot of time in the water. They regularly walk on riverbeds, looking for their favorite aquatic plants, and they're strong swimmers. Lowland tapirs are mostly solitary animals, except when it's time to mate. This amorous male has found a female who's in heat. He was not brought by chance, but by a trail of pheromones in her urine. Courtship can be a brief affair. They nuzzle and nibble each other on the flanks and ears, and then it's down to business. They can stay underwater for 6 minutes at a time, and even mate while submerged. The pair will stay together until they mate. After that, the female becomes aggressive and chases the male away. While tapirs live solitary lives and only seek company during the mating season, the parrots of the Pantanal are longtime loyal companions. The forests and waterways resound with their raucous calls. There are 26 species of parrots in the Pantanal. It's a great habitat for so many species because of the year-round abundance of fruits and nuts. and the large number of preferred nesting sites, dead palm trees. They range from the longest, the hyacinth macaw, to the smallest macaw, the red-shouldered parrot. The red-shouldered macaw might not be as spectacularly colored or as large as some of the other species. But this is a very social and friendly bird. They're monogamous, but every year each pair still performs their courting rituals. They spend days grooming each other to reinforce their bonds. The male will even bring the female tasty morsels of food before consummating their relationship. All this will ensure that they'll have the best chance of successfully raising their chicks. Brazilian ducks are at home in these wetlands year-round and use the dense beds of water hyacinths as landing strips. They spend their days hanging out in small flocks around lakes and ponds. There are 24 species of ducks in Brazil, and most of them can be found in the Pantanal. Most eat aquatic plants, small fish, and invertebrates. But some, like the black-bellied whistling duck and the Muscovy duck, prefer grasses. The Muscovy duck is a Brazilian native that's been domesticated and can be found in many other countries. Their population has been somewhat reduced because they're prized for their tasty flesh. Male Muscovy ducks are always interested in mating. So local hunters used to trick them by tethering a female to a tree to entice them in. 50 males could be lured to their death in a single day. The practice is now illegal. Further up the river, Carolina and Arilli head back home. It's been a good day, and it's about to get even better. They spot another group of giant otters. They're a tight-knit group and share a loud and gregarious lifestyle.
Inside the group, the individuals are very cohesive. They spend all the time together. They do a lot of grooming. They take care of the cubs together. The juveniles help the couple to raise the cubs, and they give fish for them.
Giant otters get a lot of benefit from being part of a group, even if they aren't related. Together, they can claim a long stretch of river as their own.
Giant otters groups, they are very territorial. Normally they have 10 kilometers of a linear river, and they mark the territory with a lot of vocalization and scent marking.
On the other side of the river, it looks like someone wants to join in the action. He's probably about 2 years old, a subadult. His hormones have kicked in, so now he's looking for a female that he can start a family with. Today, he's in luck. On the riverbank, the young male catches sight of a female. It could be the beginning of a new family that will call the Pantanal home and contribute to the survival of this endangered species.
The Pantanal, it's a very special place to see giant otters and to observe them and follow their behavior, because it's still a very healthy environment.
Even with the ban on hunting, there are probably fewer than 10,000 giant otters left in South America. These large social carnivores are rare, and experts are concerned that within 25 years, their population could be half of what it is today. Here in the Pantanal, they have a refuge for now. These flooded wetlands are a sanctuary, not just for the giant otter, but for all the animals that call this extraordinary place home.